This is Blue Gold News Now, your spot for current events, campus news, and everything in between. Now live from Towers Studio, it's BNN with your hosts, Alex Rubio and Marissa Day.
Good evening, I'm Alex Rubio.
And I'm Marissa Day.
Coming up tonight, we take a look at the 49th Annual Viennese Ball.
UWEC Athletics announced the next men's basketball head coach.
And your BNN Blitz update on the world of blue gold athletics.
But first, Wisconsin's 45th Governor Scott Walker spoke on campus at UWEC this evening. The 45th Governor of Wisconsin visited UW-Eau Claire today, April 10th, not only as the 45th Governor of Wisconsin, but as the President-elect of the Young America's Foundation, a national organization centered on supporting young conservatives on collegiate campuses. Walker's presidential role with the YAF was announced in July of 2019 and took effect February 1st, 2021. Today in Centennial Hall, room 1415, Walker gave a speech and held a Q&A session immediately after for students and community members to ask questions. Simultaneously, political science professor Adam Kuntz hosted an event called Building Bridges, Can We Improve Civil Discourse, in partnership with the Menard Center for Constitutional Studies, and featuring special guest John Wood Jr. Both events were an opportunity for students to get involved in civil political discourse at UWEC.
The VFW on Star Avenue recently hosted a celebration for Vietnam War veterans this past Friday. The event hoped to give these heroes some time to reflect and celebrate their service with comrades. The celebration was also made a bit more special, with a Medal of Honor recipient giving a speech to the soldiers. Gary Wetzel was 18 when he enlisted and spent some time on Friday telling his story to the gathered veterans. He spoke on his service, his loss, and his duty to his fellow soldiers. Wetzel earned his medal after taking fire, incurring severe wounds, and still making his way back to the defensive line to hold back the enemy. While much of Wetzel's speech was about his time in the war, he also spoke about his homecoming. For many veterans of the Vietnam War, their return to the U.S. was met with disdain and shock. This is why events like these are important, says the Secretary of Wisconsin's Department of Veterans Affairs, to celebrate Vietnam veterans' service openly and proudly and shine a light on those who served honorably and did their part to protect their comrades.
Coming up after the break, reporter Samantha Burnett investigated changes to UWEC Student Senate bylaws.
And we take a look at this year's Viennese Ball.
Hi, it's Addison from Home Screen, and to show you the power of TV 10, I sawed my logo in half. And now with the magic of TV 10, it will come back together. Wow, that sure is amazing. Catch Home Screen every other Wednesday afternoon at mytv10.uwec.edu or on our YouTube channel, UWEC TV 10. I want you to be part of the magic.
Earlier this month, the Student Senate made major changes to the bylaws.
BNN reporter Samantha Burnett has the story.
Over the past few months, Student Body President Brett Farmer and Vice President Sam Consiglio worked with Student Senate to edit the bylaws down to 66 pages from the previous 139 pages. This was a goal they both had in mind when elected to represent the student body, and just this past week they were able to achieve it. The bylaws are a document that contain different policies and are reviewed biannually. Although changes are often made to them, in the past it has simply been adding more and more to them, which in turn resulted in 139 pages. This overwhelmed the document, filling it with things that aren't necessarily relevant for each year and included old ways of how the Student Senate operated. Over the past few months, Samantha and Brett worked to simplify the document, making sure that it only included fundamental topics. Many of the items that were cut from the bylaws have been moved to a different document that outlines different operations and procedures that can be referenced annually. Brett discusses how this is a big change for those in Student Senate because it's the main document they use to understand the operations and procedures they have to follow. In addition, shortening the document helps to make it more accessible for those that want to join Student Senate. He goes on to discuss the impact it has on the student body.
I think for the general student body, there are a lot of things in there that we just wanted to clarify and make relevant to how we operate now, especially related to like fees and like student dollars. I think we outlined that more correctly to reflect how we're using student dollars and how we're allocating student money.
In addition, over the past week, they introduced a new bill connected to the bylaws that takes into account student health and wellness, creating a space for advocacy for the student body within the Senate. If you're interested in learning more about these changes and more of what's happening in Student Senate, you can attend their meetings every Monday from 6 to 7 p.m. in the Dakota Ballroom in Davies. For BNN, I'm Samantha Burnett. Back to you, Alex and Marissa.
Thanks, Sam. President Brett Farmer and VP Samantha Consiglio hope that the bylaws will allow Student Senate to do bigger and better things in coming years, something that they hope leaves an impact long after they graduate from UWEC.
The 49th Annual Viennese Ball was held on April 5th and 6th this past weekend. In its third year after a two-year hiatus due to COVID, the ball is back in full swing.
BNN reporter Willow Polish has the story.
Around 300 performers were featured from UWEC and the local community this weekend, making up the bulk of the entertainment throughout the two-night Viennese Ball. The music department throws together their featured symphony and jazz ensembles on top of student recitals and faculty features. A tradition in the opening ceremony shows off the Singing Statesmen and the Women's Concert Chorale. They've been rehearsing these past few weeks in prep for the event, bringing back their classics along with a few new features. Frank Watkins, the director of Women's Concert Chorale, said after 10 years teaching that V-Ball is a tradition.
This piece has been like a tradition for WOCO. We always invite alumni to come up and sing with us. So at the very end, you'll see a bunch of students who are former WOCETs. They will run to the front of the stage and join with those who are already singing. So it's a great way to end our set, but we always end with On the Wings of a Song.
The Viennese Ball serves as a celebration of all things music department in UWEC. A special performance by the Women's Concert Chorale even featured faculty member Emily Sternfeld-Dunn. Statesman Vice President Connor Simon says the culture in the department is what makes the event special to the performers.
We all work together. There's like this great culture of everybody like who has done V-Ball before and has learned all these songs before, helping the younger people and getting them up to speed. And I've been doing that myself, just meeting with people. And I know a lot of other upperclassmen also meet with younger people and kind of help them learn their words in the Strauss and whatnot.
Not only does the nearly 7 hours of performances provide a throwback to the community of the historic Kaiser Ball, filled with dancing, music, and food, it mainly serves to raise and award money for scholarships across several departments. In its history so far, the event has raised over $1.5 million. This year, 15 students were recognized for their contributions to the university. Even more students feel the celebration of music as the community comes together to make this Viennese Ball possible.
There's definitely a lot of work that happens on this side of the bridge, not to mention all of the correspondence and, sorting and work that has to happen over in the Davies Center with EPC and whatnot. So it's a really beautiful way for the two sides of campus to kind of meet in the middle and just put on this great show that everybody enjoys.
For Blue Gold News Now, I'm Willow Polish.
Thanks, Willow. Well, Alex, what a great way to take a look at the behind the scenes. I think you and I got a little bit of a picture of that when we worked on GeekCon with event services.
Yeah, exactly.
Got an idea of what it takes to put on a big scale event, at UW Eau Claire. But we really didn't get a look into, what the music department does.
No, it was actually really enjoyable to watch that package because, like you were saying, we got to see kind of like the event and we got to see the heart of the event, but we didn't really get to see all of the hard work that goes into before. And Willow grabbing all of those great shots, it just shows you how much work is put into the Viennese Ball. Exactly.
Well, speaking of events happening at UW Eau Claire is gearing up to host the National Collegiate Table Tennis Championships this weekend. From April 9th through April 14th, table tennis teams from across the U.S., including Georgia Tech, UT Dallas, Cornell, and UW Eau Claire, will be competing in both doubles, singles, and team events for the prestigious honor of Collegiate Table Tennis National Champions. Awards ceremonies will occur throughout the weekend, honoring the competitors for their months of preparation and practice. For more information on competition schedules, locations, and results, visit nctta.org.
While the weather outside might not be too sure if it's winter or spring yet, one local garden center is preparing to open their doors come rain or shine. Chippewa Valley Growers has opened their doors this past Saturday, getting ready for the spring season. John Kelly, the owner of the establishment, says that they've been meticulously preparing their plants to look their best for their opening day. Employees have spent 6 to 8 hours a day watering and nurturing the plants over the past few months, making sure that the plants were kept safe in their greenhouse, maintained at a beautiful 70 degrees. Man, am I jealous of those plants, a sentence I thought I would never say in my life. Saying this, Kelly said he wouldn't recommend bringing home any of their hanging baskets just yet due to the change of temperatures going from a brisk 70 degrees in the greenhouse to whatever is going on outside right now being a little shocking to our poor potted friends. Instead, they would recommend bringing home some vegetables or petunias. It turns out that even plants are a little upset about the weather this spring.
BNN will return with your weather forecast.
And a BNN Blitz updates on Blue Gold Sports after this short break.
Hi, I'm Evan Claymore, and I host Sounds of the Valley at UWEC's TV 10 station. If you're anything like me, you love live music. Well, on my show, I take the live music and I give it to you. I take the finest musical talent from the Chippewa Valley area and I bring it directly to your screen. So if that sounds interesting, check it out at mytv10.uwec.edu or on our YouTube channel at UWEC TV 10.
Thank you, Alex and Marissa. Good evening. My name is Ellie Albrecht. I know the weather has been somewhat unpredictable lately, but weirdly enough, we're switching from spring weather to summer weather because it's about to get pretty warm. Today's temperature in Eau Claire was a high of 61 with a low of 42, which is crazy warm compared to the last few weeks, especially since today's low was last week's high average. Looking at today's forecast around the upper Midwest, as you can see, is going to be decently warm. Minneapolis and Bloomington had highs of 58 today, Red Wing and Lake City with highs of 59, Menominee with a high of 60, Eau Claire with a high of 61, and Chippewa Falls at the highest, peaking at 62 degrees today. If you look at the next 7 days, you'll see how the temperatures are looking more like summer as the days go on. As you can see, we'll be having a few showers in the coming days, but that might actually help us actually cool off because you can expect Sunday to be a high of 75 degrees, and other than some showers today and next Monday, there will be a thunderstorm coming up next Tuesday. So stay safe. Thank you so much for joining me for weather this evening. I'm Ellie Albrecht. Back to you, Alex and Marissa.
Thanks, Ellie. BNN Blitz is back this week with more Blue Gold sports updates.
Over to you, David and Eli.
Welcome to BNN Blitz. I'm your host, David Abel.
And I'm Eli Bennis. Welcome to a weekly recap of Blue Gold sports action.
The University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire hosted a news conference on Thursday, April 4th to introduce new men's basketball coach, Zach Melvick. Take a look.
The Flesch Family Welcome Center was home to the press conference where Zach Malvick was welcomed to the Blue Gold family. There were many important figures in attendance, among them Chancellor James C. Schmidt and Athletic Director Jason Verdugo. During the conference, Verdugo gave a little insight into the recruitment process.
You know, what we are trying to ultimately identify, a winner. We were trying to identify somebody that was going to be committed to Blue Gold student athletes, not only to the basketball program, but the brand beyond that.
Chancellor Schmidt and Jason Verdugo both had statements attesting to the character and merits of Zach Malvick.
They won the national championship in 2006, went to the championship game in 2007, and we dropped that game, but it ended a 57-win streak.
The very last question I asked him, and this stuck with me, I said, "Can you do this job?" And there was a long pause, and he looked me straight in the eye again, looked me dead in the eye without a smile and a huge, intense scowl it looked like. And I'm like, God, I'm looking into the mirror, what I used to look like as a coach. And he said, "Without question."
Malvick touched on the opportunity to be the men's basketball head coach for the Blue Golds.
Yeah, there's a lot going into it. The opportunity to be a head coach, the opportunity to be at a place where feel strongly that we can win. I think there's a high level of commitment from the top down to not only athletics but men's basketball, and being being in this league. I think it's it's one of the best leagues in the country at this level.
Malvick concluded his speech reflecting on its past experiences and the value of relationships in the game of basketball.
To get here, you kind of reflect a little bit throughout your career, and I think it's important to me just to thank the former players I've been lucky enough to coach the past 11 years. There's too many to name, but I think as any coach will tell you, you're only as good as your players.
Eli and I had the opportunity to attend the press conference where I was able to ask Zach Melvick about the Sontag Center, and he compared to a Division I facility.
Yeah, so Melvick last year coached at Green Bay, a historic turnaround with Sundance Wicks, and he and Verdugo talked about bringing a winning culture, and with his experience, I think he'll bring a winning culture to Eau Claire. UW Eau Claire wrestling coach Tim Fader was named the Open Mat D3 Coach of the Year. The Blue Golds had a historic year in which they shared a tie for the Wyatt Conference, placed 5th at the NCAA Championships out of 66 teams, and had the Wyatt Co-Wrestler of the Year in Jared Stricker. Tim Fader has been the coach at UWEC for 9 years, and the team has finished top 30th in the NCAA 6 times during his tenure. Fader has been a head coach for 25 years in the Wyatt Conference and has amassed 300 career dual victories, which he did in the 2022-23 season. Congratulations to Coach Fader on the amazing year and spectacular career.
UW Eau Claire's Kenneth Strunze was named to the NFC Division III Pitcher and Player of the Year watch list last Thursday. A watch list that contains 98 student athletes across the country and is split into 10 different regions with 15 student athletes per region. Strunze currently leads the Blue Golds in batting average at 453, runs with 20, and a total of 22 stolen bases during her 16 games played. She leads the WIAC in bases stolen and ranks top 5 in batting average, runs scored, and on-base percentage. 65 different schools are represented on the list, and the winners will be announced on June 7th after the NCAA Division III Finals.
On April 6th, both the UWEC men and women's track and field teams took on the Astra May Invitational. Both teams would end up earning a third-place finish. For the men, graduate student Jakob Akui took first in 3 categories, being discus at 52.67 meters, shot put at 17.44 meters, and the hammer throw at 56.41 meters. Third-year Tommy Mesnick took first place javelin at 56.41 meters. On the women's side, Kayla Benke took home first place honors in discus at 48.96 meters and the hammer throw at 54.50 meters. Fourth-year Tegan Jones finished second in discus at 42.56 meters. UWEC track will next compete at the UW Platteville Invitational on April 12th through the 13th.
Nick Amstman was the player of the weekend for Blue Golds Golf, shooting 2 under par over a span of 2 days and finishing in second place individually out of 214 competitors. The junior from Arrowhead High School shot a 2-round total of 131 and was helped out scoring-wise by 5 birdies during the second round. Ben Pausha recorded 2 rounds of 76 to help keep Eau Claire in the top 3 for team scoring, which is where they would finish at the IWU Invitational. The Blue Golds will head south next weekend to Florence, Alabama for the Florence Spring Invitational hosted by Emory College. The 3-day event is scheduled to begin on Sunday, April 14th, and will go on until Tuesday, April 16th. That's all for the World of Blue Gold Sports. I'm David Abel.
And I'm Eli Bennis. Back to you, Alex and Marissa.
Thanks, David and Eli. Welcome back to Favorite Things. This week, Alex and I are going to share our favorites for spring. How about that? Favorites for spring. I mean, there's a lot of things coming into spring. You know, the weather's been gorgeous. That's one of our first things.
Flowers and nature just blooming, hopefully, as long as it doesn't snow over it.
Exactly. Well, we're going to start with my favorites. Up here, we've got a couple images of my favorites, but we were just talking about the weather. It has been sunny and gorgeous, but my ideal temperature and weather conditions, I like sunny and, 75 to 80 degrees, more branching into the summer weather. No pun intended, branching. We're talking about plants. But I love when it's like 75 to 80 and there's like a good cool breeze blowing.
Yeah, exactly. You need that cool breeze to kind of just like settle everything down a little bit, because if it's just heat, then it's a little too much.
Right.
So, yeah,
well,
for sure.
right, and it sucks sometimes because when the breeze it's so hot out and it's so humid, it can feel like the breeze is a blow dryer, and it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. No, humid weather is the worst, for sure.
I would agree for sure. But that's my ideal temperature. I'm like a little flower. I like my sun. And speaking of flowers, I'm going to jump down to the bottom, actually.
Oh, we're jumping around.
I know, I'm jumping around this week.
Jump.
But my favorite flowers are hydrangeas, and I actually just bought myself some blue hydrangeas kind of like that at Target. and they're in my room in a vase, and they're gorgeous. They're
Brighten
so
up the room.
pretty. I know, and it's so nice. I walk back and I'm like, oh, there's sunshine, there's flowers. What more could a girl possibly want, right?
So wait, so blue, right?
Yes.
So just out of curiosity, why not like yellow or anything like that? Kind of just like to bring the sunshine into the room.
Well, I love hydrangeas, and hydrangeas come in like 3 to 5 colors, and the way that hydrangeas work, they're really cool. It's pretty scientific. They change based on the pH of the soil that they're grown in. So they can be white, they can be blue, they can be purple, they can be like a pink color. They can vary in different things based on the pH. We actually had a tricolor one in my mom's garden that grew up. So it was blue on one side, pink in the middle, or purple in the middle, and pink on the other side. So it was kind of fun to see the tricolor, and they kind of fade between them. But yellow is a great spring color too, I'll be honest. I was tempted between yellow roses or tulips and the blue hydrangea. And the blue hydrangea I just can't get enough of. So those are my favorite.
That's BNN bringing you science apparently.
Right? Science on BNN, our next post-show segment.
Next post-show segment.
But hopping back up, I did break out the hammock this week. So for people in Eau Claire, hammocking is such a huge thing.
Very popular, right next to the river for sure.
Right. Well, and I found a spot on upper campus right in, where the breeze is blowing and you got the hammock shaking a little bit.
Perfect conditions.
It was gorgeous. It was perfect. I loved every second of it, and it's nice to break it out again.
Grab a good book and just curl up in the hammock and just read for the day.
Exactly. Well, and then speaking of spots on campus, that are fun to hang out in, I took a big long hike down Putnam Trail, and that is, let me tell you,
one of the best spots for sure.
Seriously, like Putnam Trail is the coolest ever, and it ranges all the way from like upper campus over by Chancellor's Hall all the way down and around to almost to I almost said Sonntag, almost to Carson Park, which is really cool. So
it goes all over the place. It's very hidden and out there, it feels like sometimes. You can just like take a wrong turn and you're just who knows where.
Right, middle of nowhere, but it's super fun. And I actually took it in between classes, so I had like an hour to get the 3 miles in, and it was fantastic. It was so fun. But the last thing, we're talking about frozen treats, and the Minute Maid frozen strawberry lemonade and the frozen lemonades in general from Minute Maid are my favorite summer treat, and it's because and spring treat, I'll say, too, because the temperatures have been borderline summer. But I just went to a Twins game, and it's always a tradition for me to go get some sort of frozen treat out there. And the frozen strawberry lemonades are undeniably my favorite.
Oh, and especially when you're at a game, you can definitely like bake underneath that sun, so you definitely need something to cool off with.
Yeah, it was delightful. But I think we've got some favorites of yours to get to.
Yes, we do.
Let's pop on over one slide.
All right.
Awesome.
So we'll start at the top with weather forecast. Sun, God. Just sun, anything above 30 degrees, please. Just anything there. That would be amazing. I'll take anything above 30. And it seemingly has worked out. My prayers have been answered. For my outdoor activity, spike ball. Have you ever played spike ball?
I have. It's fun.
No, I really enjoy spike ball. It's almost like volleyball, except the net is on the ground and there's no sand. So
right?
it's like the best of both worlds.
All the best parts of volleyball and nothing you don't want.
Exactly. But yeah, me and David are part of the spike ball group.
Oh my gosh.
Like spike ball group, shout out to you on campus. And it's so much fun. Just love it so much. Favorites, ice cream treats or frozen treats would probably be vanilla ice cream with berries on top. It's such a good mixture. It's such a classic mixture. You got your vanilla, you got the tartness of the berries, and it's such a good mixture. If you were to like mix with vanilla ice cream, what would be like your berry of choice with it?
Ooh, berry of choice. I don't know. I typically like blueberry, but it's too subtle sometimes, so I'm gonna go raspberry.
Raspberry is a great choice, and if you mix it all up together, you basically have a shake almost.
I know, it's delish, like a good raspberry shake.
Mm-hmm. I usually pick one of those up at Culver's. Apparently, I'm shouting out a lot of people tonight.
You are indeed.
My next is the spot on campus. That would have to be Putnam Rock. I mean, it's such a beautiful spot, especially as the sun is setting, like in the picture here. It's so amazing to just be like sitting on the rock and like hearing the river right below you, and just being like out there, like so connected to nature. That is one of the best things about Eau Claire, is that we have so many good spots that are just so connected with nature. We don't have a parking garage, but we have nature. So it's just so nice to be like sitting on the Putnam Rock, and I love it so much.
I would agree. It's a great spot, especially between classes. You can stop over.
Oh yeah, exactly. And it's not too far off of campus, which I mean it's right on campus, so it's like right there. You can just take a stop if you'd like. And then the next one would have to be hibiscus. And that actually is for my Hawaiian roots. I love the hibiscus flower. It's such a beautiful flower, and it goes so well with like a lot of things, and it just, I don't know, like with lays and in your hair. It's definitely like one of my favorite flowers for sure.
I love that, Alex. I didn't know that about you. That's super cool.
The more we learn with favorite things.
Exactly.
For sure.
Well, I think that's all that we have for you tonight on BNN.
Join us next week for your latest news, updates, and weather.
Make sure to check out TV10 on Instagram, TikTok, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. I'm Marissa Day.
And I'm Alex Rubio. Thank you, and good night.